Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about the most recent VBA course I took. Now I took this course back in November, and first I kind of want to define what is VBA. VBA stands for Visual Basic Application. It's basically like a coding or programming language for Excel. And the reason people use it is to automate manual tasks that you do in Excel. And I'll show you an example of this later. But it's basically for people who, if you do the same thing over and over and over again in Excel and you're like, I wonder if I could put a button in there or something that would repeat it over and over again so that you don't have to keep manually filling things down or manually highlighting or whatever you do in Excel. But I took this class on Udemy, so let me pull that up here. And this class I took was with Leila G. Now she's very popular on YouTube. She is like the god of Excel videos, and that's the reason why I took her class in Udemy. So Udemy is an online course website similar to like Coursera and some other websites there. Let me just show you kind of the layout of how Udemy works. So you click into a class and you have videos here, and then you have sections. So there was a few sections here. You have introduction, writing your first macro, which is your first code, into the theory of coding in VBA, functions, looping, which is huge. I had some experience with coding prior to this, so it made this class slightly easier. There's array functions, and then you have a couple projects, and then working with charts, which I did not use that. So this is kind of the lay of the land as far as Udemy goes. I would not recommend this to be your first language unless you really need to code in Excel and you have no coding experience and that you have a very strict goal. I would personally would start with something easier like She Codes, which I did a video on recently, so go look in the description for that. But the thing about VBA is the syntax is very hard to get right away. With using like a code editor like VS Code, when you're doing CSA or HTML, it's a lot easier. It fills in a little syntax for you, so it's harder to make mistakes in those languages, where VBA, you're kind of on your own. There's this thing called IntelliSense that will help you out within the code module, which I could show you later here. But how I took my notes, so I had this class, and she actually has templates that you can download. So you see these resources, you can download all these things in VBA here. So all the templates and all that, very useful resources in her class on Udemy. How I took notes was I used Notion. So you can see here are my classes. Here is Leila's class. So if you open this up, I have it a status completed, topic Excel, teacher, have her name, image, finish date. So I finished this November 25th, 2020. How much it cost me. Now, her class is like $170, but Udemy goes on flash sales every so often. So totally recommend, if you're looking to buy a class, just check out Udemy all the time because they have flash sales all the time. Location, so I have Udemy. I also have like some other places where I take class like Skillshare. If there's a book associated with that, I have it. And then the total amount of time, which was 22.5 hours, which is actually like a good amount of time. That's like a semester. So how I took notes was, if you do /code, you can get like a coding block here, and then, so let me just delete that. Oops. Control-Z. So then you can get and then you can pick your language. So I just did Visual Basic. And then you can code within here, and then you can copy that into an Excel. My thing is I didn't want like a ton of Excels. I just wanted notes. So I did all my note taking in Notion here, but it works perfectly because it knows the language, and then it like highlights certain things, it makes things different colors. And then I could also take notes. So I have like count special cells and some projects. And then at the very bottom, so I also took screenshots as well, so you'll see a lot of screenshotting. And then towards the end, I have my certificate of completion. It says Lizzie here because, well, I could not figure out how to update it to Liz. So we're just gonna pretend like I'm still in high school here. But that is what the certificate looks like once you finish the class, which I really like. And you can always put these on your LinkedIn. That's what I did with my She Codes one. I should add this one as well. And so total, this class took me about 4 months to complete. That's because I only did 10 minutes a day, and I had it on my habit tracker, which I have a video of my habit tracker, and I'll link that below. So I could not sit down for multiple hours at a time. It just was not appealing to me. It's really hard to force yourself to do work. That's kind of why I like the She Codes one, because it gave you assignments and you were forced to do it, and deadlines and stuff, and it's a lot easier to learn. So let me show you what I made with my, by using this class. I learned how to make one thing. She didn't directly teach you this, but I applied the things that I learned. So in my work, I have these things called data sheets, and they're basically just like like lots of data on instruments and all kinds of stuff. So let's say somebody gave me a sheet. I can't show one because they're confidential, but just a bunch of numbers, and there's a bunch of them. And so here, let's say data sheet 1, data sheet 2. This could be up to like 20 data sheets. And I want to print them all to PDF. So I need to combine them. And so the manual way would be open up the sheet. So we'd open up the sheet, and then we'd copy the other one in here. You'd like copy the tab, right? So you do like a mover copy here. And then you would copy the tab in there until you had all the tabs. But I wanted to do it faster. So I made a thing called loop through files in a folder. So this works for any files. I press add Excel files. And then you go in and you try to find your guy here. Let's see. VBA trainings. I click my data sheets, I pick my folder, and then it loops through and adds my data sheets here. So you can see the first one say data sheet. Now imagine if this had tons of numbers in it, and then the second data sheet. And then all I have to do is print this document, and then I'm done. And that alone saves me like 20 minutes, sometimes even 30 if they're very long. So that's kind of an example of how I used it. I also use it to copy templates and anything that I'm feeling particularly lazy about doing, and I think I could just add a little button and then it does it for me. Now, when I say VBA, it's actually hard to get to. You have to go to options. So you go to file options, and you have to go and add, you have to customize your ribbon and go find the developer tab and then enable it here by clicking the developer. And then you'll have this developer tab open, and you can press Visual Basic or you can press Alt F11 and Excel popped up on my other screen, but you can see here's the code here, and I have all this code, and this is what I mean when I say this is like the code that I have in Notion. So you'll see here, let me get to one of my code windows. It's just like this. So I just would copy this and paste it in here based on the things that I learned from the class. And then you would run the macro or make a button out of it and stuff. And so I have a link to exactly how I made this workbook. There's been some updates to it, but this is linked below if you wanted to check it out and you like VBA or just wanted an example. But when people say macros, VBA, and you're like in the business world or engineering world, and you're like, what are they talking about? They're talking about Excel coding, basically. Overall, let me go back to the class here. Overall, I would give this class a 10 out of 10 if you know you want to use VBA for something specific in Excel and you want to be like broadly good at it. If you want to do something super specific, like you just want to move this folder over here, you can Google that and teach it to yourself. It's going to be very hard, but it might be faster than taking a whole like semester class of like VBA. So I learned VBA by doing little projects, and then I went back and took this class. So it is possible to learn VBA without taking this class through like weird forums and Googling. But if you want like a solid foundation of VBA, 100% recommend Leila. She's so good at teaching. It was enjoyable. I liked it. If it's your first time coding, I don't recommend starting with VBA. I would start with CSS, HTML, she codes. Much easier, prettier. It's more like graphic design, and you can kind of get a feel for coding first, because this starts to get kind of more advanced. I actually started in MATLAB because it was a required class in college, but that was just, it was forced upon me. Otherwise I would have never found coding. So I hope that helps. And if you guys find any classes that you're looking forward to, comment below. My next project is working on Python. It's not going well. I have not really even started. I've just downloaded the software. So we are all struggling together. But anyway, let me know what languages you're learning or anything that you want to learn that's computer science related.